So
can't wait to see the.
like what happens with this build to Mania, and
Well, you gotta think, is Undertaker going to be ready for Mania?
we haven't heard a fucking thing. We have not heard a thing
As
from the
far
Undertaker.
as I know, Undertaker is not going to be ready for Mania.
Oh yeah, and that's scary.
Yeah, that's
As wrestling fans, we all realize how important the 30th anniversary of WrestleMania is. How I just don't understand. Like, it just doesn't seem like they're pulling it all together. It's not all there.
no, and I think maybe they know they have an out. Their out here is, we'll just make Daniel Bryan win the title, because that's going to be the biggest pop that they'll get in recent memory. So they know they have an out. Like, our out is we give the title to Daniel Bryan. That was their out post WrestleMania last year when they gave Ziggler the title. Like, Ziggler cashed in, and that was their out, sort of, with that show. Like, when the show kind of started to whatever, like the crowd sort of taking over the show. Oh shit, we got to give Ziggler the title. That was their out. Of course, they botched that and fucked and mind raped the whole Dolph Ziggler push, and that was the end of that. But so they know they had their out, and they know they have an out with this WrestleMania. I wish they would be putting more into it.
Yeah.
And speaking of wishing they would be putting more into shit, let's talk about CM Punk leaving the fucking company. Apparently.
And that leads into what I was just saying about, like, it just from all the reports that we've been hearing, it's scary, because apparently what they have planned for WrestleMania sounds like a huge pile of shit.
It doesn't sound the greatest, does it? Like, I try to stay away from the dirt sheets, because I think the dirt sheets take a vital degree of interest away from wrestling.
I agree with you. A problem that I have with that, though, with all the spoilers and all the stuff, is I have a guy on Facebook who goes on WrestleZone or whatever and reads all that, and he likes all their posts. So every time he likes a post,
it shows up,
and like I'll just see it, and I'm like, oh,
because they put spoilers in the title of every article. It's just like,
yeah, it's clickbait.
Spoilers. It's just like, spoilers. This is gonna happen.
Yeah,
and so it's like, shit, really?
Yeah, I like to be surprised. I like the element of surprise with wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
The dirt sheets take that away. Yeah. So let's go into it. CM Punk has apparently walked out of the company, and apparently this is legit.
2 hours before showtime.
Yeah,
going to Vince McMahon, saying, "Screw you guys! I'm taking my ball and I'm going home."
Supposedly, that seems like it's what happened.
I believe he was you're the reason I first knew about it, Nick.
Yeah.
Because I was at work on my break, and I went on my phone and was going to Facebook, and I seen the No Holds Barred podcast. CM Punk quits WWE. I was like,
yeah.
WTF?
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, and like when it first dropped, and like Dave Meltzer was reporting on it, and fucking Wade Keller and shit. Well, Wade Keller's a fucking goof, but anyways, like they were all reporting, and I'm just like, this either sounds like a work, or that it's just one of those wrestling. Like, at first I thought it was, to be perfectly honest, at first I thought it was a news article from Kayfabe, whatever it is, that does all those like joke, like the satire wrestling posts, like kayfabewrestling.com or something like that. At first, that's where I thought it was from. I was like, oh, cool, it's from Kayfabe. And then I was like, oh, this is Wrestling 411. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So is this like legitimate or what is it? And then now we keep hearing about like CM Punk signs.
Yeah, signs
being confiscated at the NXT taping.
And even at WWE has unfollowed Punk on Twitter.
Really?
I understand why you felt that it was a work
Right.
because WWE did not make an announcement about it on
Right.
their website.
Exactly.
But something else I got to bring up. I haven't watched it yet. I DVR'd it. I'm a big fan of the Arsenio Hall show.
Okay.
Stone Cold Steve Austin was he was on a guest on it 2 nights ago.
Okay.
And Arsenio Hall actually mentioned it, and Stone Cold talked about it. I have not seen it yet, but he gave his thoughts on it. So yeah, I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah. No, that'll be interesting. Now again, like the last tweet on Punk's Twitter account is like, "Thanks everybody, keep being you" and stuff like that. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's kind of interesting. And then this picture started floating around that I think later came out that it was a doctored picture of a tweet from AJ's account. And it's like, just for the people that have been asking, yes, Phil has left the company and no, this is not a work. I think later on it came out that image was fake. But so it's, it's hard to tell. And this is when wrestling is good. This is when like wrestling makes really can possibly, if this is a work, make really, really good use of social networking. Because these things come out and they blow up and so many people believe them just like that immediately. And these things can be used to professional wrestling's advantage in helping to perpetuate a work. But we don't know whether this is a work or not. And this kind of leads us into a conversation that you had with a wrestling buddy of yours about like if it's not a work and if CM Punk is gone, something that would be, I think, really interesting to all wrestling fans if it did come to pass.
It would be really interesting, and this is the way that it went. And I just lead it up to this because every night when I'm at work, if the buddy's mine is here, he's kind of like you. He retains everything, like wrestling related, comedy related, just like a wealth of knowledge. So
thank you, sir.
So we were talking it was yesterday, and he was like, so we were shooting the shit, and he goes, I got it. And he goes, CM Punk left the company. We were talking about that. I go, yeah. So when is CM Punk's contract is ending soon? I go, yeah, it's like July. He goes, okay, July. And he goes, oh my God. I'm like, what? It goes, so Jeff Jarrett is starting the new wrestling company, and he's with Tony Keese, and they got all this money put together, and TNA's television contract is going to be coming up in the fall.
Very, very,
I'm
very
like,
soon.
Yeah. So
and Spike is not re-signing.
Yeah, so they're going after TNA's television, which is going to be huge if they can get on television.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he goes, isn't there a 90-day clause when the contract expires for the wrestlers in WWE? I'm like, I believe so.
Yeah, whenever the contracts expire, it's a 90-day no-compete clause for another promotion.
I'm like, where are you going with this? Well, he says, okay, July, August, September, October. It will be just about the time when TNA's contract with Spike is going to be coming up. What if, for the first televised event of this new company, CM Punk shows up? It would be the war all over again.
It would be to a higher degree, and I'll say higher degree because it's a higher profile name, to a 10 times higher degree than Lex Luger showing up on the first Nitro.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, it was cool to see a guy that most mainstream wrestling fans had only known from WWF. Like, most mainstream wrestling fans weren't NWA fans. They didn't know what Lex Luger had done before he came to WWF and was the narcissist.
And that was me. That was the first time I recognized Lex Luger as
the
narcissist.
The narcissist and the Lex Express and body slamming Yokozuna. And all that stuff was fine. But then, he shows up on the inaugural Nitro the inaugural Nitro show and is like, oh, well, shit. somebody from WWF is there, and then they brought in Hall and Nash, and everything fucking went from there. If this new company decided, well, first of all, if they got on Spike TV and they had CM Punk just show up on their first, like their inaugural show, if they had him show up on that show, like what an amazing, like what an oomph it would be for this new company if this new company does start up.
It would be the biggest debut ever for a wrestling company.
I think it would be too.
Just that one moment.
Yeah, exactly. I really think it would. Somebody in the chat stream here was like, "You're dumb. Punk won't go to TNA." We're not talking about Punk going to TNA. We're talking about Punk going to this new promotion that is apparently being started up by Jeff Jarrett and Tony Keith.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about TNA. We're talking about Punk showing up to an entirely new promotion, and we're not even saying it's going to happen. We're just saying like we're basically just jacking off. We're just like, if this happened, how fucking amazing would this be? What better way to put your company on the map?
And what better way to open creatives' eyes in WWE and say, "Oh,
well, that's
shit,
true.
We have to actually fucking do something."
Yeah, it's like oh fuck, this has the potential to kick our ass.
Yeah,
if this is done right.
Can I just ask you guys a question?
Yeah, fire away.
This? Okay, WWE's declined lately.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys actually like to see another company come along to get WWE to crack the whip on their ass to make them put out the best product possible?
Without question.
yeah,
no question in my mind. I would love to see another WCW show up. Absolutely, because it pushes both companies to be as good as they can possibly be to beat the other guy. So yeah, absolutely. Because TNA for the couple of good moments that TNA has had.
Well, before 1995,
right?
I mean, up until 1995 with like the X Division and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wonderful years. I've been watching some DVDs on that because I'm like, I don't know TNA. And
can I just correct you? Do you mean 2005?
2005. Yes.
Yeah,
Hi. 1995. I was like, whoo.
Well, when you said 1995, I was like, are you talking about WCW?
Yes. Hi. Hi, my name is Nick. I like to sniff glue.
But yeah, so what you're saying is like up until 2005, watching like the old TNA stuff.
For me, TNA dropped off probably 2007 for me. That's when to me, the red flag was flown. I'm like, something's not right here.
Yeah.
But here's the problem, though. I'm all for a new wrestling company to come in. Jeff Jarrett being behind it.
Yeah, that is a question mark to me, but he comes for anything that can be said about Jeff Jarrett, he comes from the right lineage to do something like that and to get something like that over. Jerry Jarrett, one of the best promoters in the 70s and into the 80s. Christine Jarrett, his mother, just like very, very, very good promoters. So he's got a solid promoting foundation. And it wasn't really until Jeff was having like less and less creative stake in TNA. The less creative stake in TNA Jeff Jarrett had, the more it started to kind of coast. And it didn't get real bad, like terribly bad, until I would say probably 2010. It was definitely declining when, as you were saying, in like 2007. But like once you hit like 2010 and fucking Hogan came in,
their first show.
And it's like,
remember they went head to head with Raw with Bret Hart.
Right.
That's when they tried to revolutionize their company.
Yeah.
And they ended up bringing back a bunch of WWE rejects. And
right.
It left a bad taste in my mouth.
Right. It's just like where this is, and this is, it's because they saw WCW do it. It's like, well, geez, WCW took Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and these guys, and they really made it go with it. But like they took guys that had some years left in them, still had something to contribute TNA then took some of those exact same guys, but 10 years later, 13 years later, and it's like, yeah, you know what? They're probably done.
One of the problems that I've always had with the way TNA operated was I did not care for how they always called out WWE.
Yeah.
I think you guys remember the Voodoo Kin Mafia.
Yes.
A very,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
bad attempt at getting WWE's attention.
Yeah.
I just think that they had the guys and the talent to make a show where they didn't need to call out WWE to be noticed.
Right.
The X Division, amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm such a fan of all that stuff. They had a lot of great talent, but they just banked on the old WWE throwaways, and yeah, it just didn't work.
That sounds awfully familiar to some promotions that run some shows around here. Whoever might that be. In any case, yeah, I think, so TNA did kind of, although, of course, TNA now has their new investor.
Can we actually...
A former WWE talent.
Can I actually just get into Impact for a
Yes,
minute?
absolutely. Fire away.
I watched it last night, and they started going over to the UK, overseas
Yes.
for their shows.
And finally sold out a show.
I actually think TNA should start basing their promotion over there, because I watched the Wrestle Talk TV.
Yes.
Over there overseas. They do a lot of TNA coverage.
Yeah.
They have a big fan base over there. It's a lot bigger than it is here.
It is.
They
Absolutely.
love it. Like, the atmosphere of the show felt so different with that big crowd in there. Like, I actually in a way, enjoyed last night's show.
Yeah, and I think, and I kind of said the same thing. It's kind of ironic. I said the same thing on another page. That's like, imagine how ballsy it would be for TNA to start running all of their TVs from Britain. And now everyone, of course, was quick to note that, like, well, all your talent lives in the U.S., so to fly everyone back and forth is just not feasible, right? And I was like, yeah, no, I understand. I'm not saying it's that this would happen realistically, but like, it would be ballsy, because I think you would see the quality of the show go up significantly, because your crowd, as you mentioned, your crowd is going to be into it. Your crowd's going to be more into it.
Because they were really into that show. Like,
Yeah.
I was surprised, like, comparing the U.S. to the UK was...
Yeah, it was there was no comparison. Like, they were really into it. And like, and you got to remember too, like that post WrestleMania audience that everybody was like, "Oh my God, this crowd's amazing." A lot of those people were Europeans because they had come over for WrestleMania,
that's right, yeah,
and stayed over for Raw the next day. So that a lot of that crowd was European. So that could have been a big part of it. Let's make the call here before we go off the topic entirely. Punk leaving WWE, work or legit?
Oh, it's so tough to say. Like you said, it's interesting. Like, we don't know what's going on.
I really want to say work, but
I think we all want to say work.
yeah. I'll know, just reading everything and just going from what he's saying on like recent like things I've done, like podcasts and videos on YouTube that I've been watching. I had to say that this might look legit.
Yeah, and what a lot of people are citing is he did a Q&A at the I think Amazing Arizona Comic-Con or San Diego Comic-Con or something. Like, it was literally like the night before the Rumble. So I think it was Amazing Arizona Comic-Con. And he had a panel and was doing like Q&A and stuff, and he was talking about like creative direction in the company, and like,
he's like, I show up, they tell me to do something, he's like, and go home.
He's like, I got nothing against Batista. I like Dave and everything, but I don't necessarily agree with the da-da-da-da-da. Being very candid. And then 48 hours later, he walks away from the company. So there's reasons, I think, as a wrestling fan to think that this is legit. But Rodney Broom actually made a comment here in our chat stream just a minute ago. CM Punk is still listed on the active roster on the website.
He is.
So it's interesting to, like, if you had a guy walk out of your company, is that not the first thing you do?
Yeah.
Take him off my fucking website. I never want to see his face again.
And you know WWE, as soon as someone's done with them, they wash their hands
immediately.
of them.
Oh, immediately.
Yes.
It's like, oh, we're going to move him to our alumni page, or get rid of them entirely.
Or we get the Future Endeavor to...
Yeah. Well, exactly. And it's like, so there wasn't that, and he's still on the website, and he's still in some of the promos that they run. Like, his face is still visible, and like he's still visible on their website and on their social media. So that leads me to believe that either whoever runs the website is lazy, that would be Joey Styles, or it's a work.
Well, and you got to think too. There might be negotiations going on.
Could very well
Punk, he says that. Well, I can't say what he said because
Right.
I don't know, but
Yeah,
I'm just paraphrasing here.
When I was sitting in on these negotiations that I just mentioned,
I'm just paraphrasing. He says that he's going home. Okay. So we don't know if he said that he's coming back or not. So, there might be negotiations going on here. So they don't know if he's gone yet. Nobody's saying from the company if he's actually gone.
True enough.
So,
and Ustreamer here in the chat stream just said Punk's WWE Facebook account posted a status to promoting Elimination Chamber, but as we all know, the wrestlers don't run those Facebook accounts. Those Facebook accounts are run by social media.
Absolutely.
Because I follow Shawn Michaels' page and Edge's page and CM Punk's page, and they all post the exact same thing. Just copy paste word for within minutes of each other. So we know that the wrestlers don't run those Facebook pages.
And I'm pretty
they
sure
run their own Twitters, but they don't run those Facebook pages.
And I'm pretty sure Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson WWE Universe page.
Right.
He's not himself isn't going to start posting about the Be a Star campaign.
No, exactly.
There's obviously somebody that's hired to do all that.
Although it is kind of funny if Punk has left the company, that his Facebook account would post something about Elimination Chamber. So that's kind of worth a chuckle.
Yeah.
So folks, we are at right now a little over an hour. So we will let's take one more topic, and we'll kind of close it off there. Let's just have a quick little. We'll save the discussion on wrestling writing versus wrestling booking. We'll save that for another show because that's a universal topic. We can talk about that anytime. Let's talk about in the wake of people feeling like why doesn't Daniel Bryan have the title right now, or what the hell are they doing with Dolph Ziggler and what everything like that. What makes a good wrestler? And I know that's a really generic question. It's a general question, but can we toss out some things, some vitally important things that if you're trying to be a wrestler, or if you're a wrestler in the industry now, what do we think you have to have? Of course, this is an outsider's perspective because we're not in the business, but what is it that you have to have if you're trying to be a wrestler and you're trying to obviously be a wrestler that's over, that people like to see, whether you're face or a heel? If you want to be a wrestler and be a good wrestler, what do you need?
Well, first you have to know how to wrestle.
First, fun to fucking mentally.
You have to know how to wrestle.
And you're just talking about basics.
Basics. Grapple, takedown, possibly chokehold.
Right.
You
gotta
the suplex, throw it in there. Da, 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 da.
Suplex. But yeah, so you're you got to have a good base in the fundamentals. If you can't be one of these guys that's just like, I know 3 or 4 moves, so I'm going to go and I'm going to be a wrestler now. It's like, no, so what you're saying is if you're going to be a good wrestler to a great wrestler, it starts with the basics.
Yeah.
Your fundamentals that any good wrestling trainer is going to hit you with right out of the gate.
I think you need good ring logic. You have to know how to use the ring. Like, if you're going to do certain spots, you have to, like, have an understanding of, like, how to do this and that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
using the ropes and all that, like diving and...
Yeah, whereabouts in the ring does something work versus where doesn't something work? And, yeah, fair enough. And that probably kind of ties in with the basics. Maybe because that's kind of like, you know how to do a hip toss. You just know that you don't do a hip toss when you're standing in the corner, right? So it's like, so fair enough. Rodney Broom just kind of posted here in the chat stream after the basics. He's talking about charisma and a great persona. So you're talking about character building. I think. And I think this is an issue. One of my multiple issues with today's wrestling, but this is an issue. So many people come into the business now, and they're just like, "Oh, I'm going to come into the business and I'm going to be myself. I'm going to be myself." Now, granted, with the volume turned way up, but I'm still going to be myself. You have all these wrestlers wrestling under either their real names or close approximations to their real names who don't really have a character. They're just themselves.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
And I think everybody kind of knows who I'm talking about too. He would be the guy that's at the top of the company right now. Like, again, John Cena is just himself, and Randy Orton is just himself usually, unless he does that whole snapping, being a psychotic thing, and that goes into character, and that's good. I would argue that's when Randy Orton's at his best.
I totally agree with you.
Is when he's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that. Yeah,
like when he's like getting towards like Brian Pillman level of psycho. Like that's when fucking Randy Orton to me is at his best. I would like to see more characters. That's not to say that they have to be hokey, stupid gimmicks. I don't want to see Gobbledygooker 2013.
Another Doink the Clown.
Yeah, another fucking Doink the Clown.
No.
But I want to see, I want to see more personas. I want to see more people that's not just like, this is who I am. Now, there are some good instances of that, even in the company right now. A guy that debuted, or at least debuted to like Raw and SmackDown eyes at the Royal Rumble. Rustev, whoever his name was.
Alexander?
Alexander Rustev, exactly. The Bulgarian, the guy who was a former Bulgarian powerlifter. You can get away with that when you're a foreigner, like when you're not a native, like, North American.
It's kind of like a stereotype, I guess you could say.
It is. It's absolutely a stereotype.
That's what you mean.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
But it's one of those things that you can get away with in wrestling because it's not like overtly racist. It's just kind of
like
there.
If Ivan Drago come out to the curtain on Raw. That's
exactly. Or like, it doesn't even have to be these intense. Like it doesn't have to be these intense, over the top characters. Jake the Snake Roberts is a perfect example. No one in the world would believe Jake Roberts wakes up in the morning and carries a snake around with him in a bag, just in his daily life. That's not who he is. But it's a little character trait that's something that's a little different and gets over because it's cool. Macho Man Randy Savage, that persona of being the Macho Man, yeah, and it gets over. Because that's not necessarily exactly who he is, and now, of course, granted, he got way into character, but like a little something, that there's a little fucking something in there that you can kind of go off of. Right now, John Cena, unfortunately, does not have that, as far as I'm concerned. Randy Orton doesn't have that. Sheamus doesn't have that.
If we go back to John Cena, though, if we gave him back the Doctor of Thugonomics, we're back in the game.
You know what? I would take it.
Yeah,
I would fucking take it.
I was a big John Cena fan when he came out with the chain and he did his raps and he was actually a little vulgar on the mic.
Yes.
I like that. But now he's phoning it in, as everyone would put it.
Exactly. He's too, yeah. Oh, I would take the Doctor of Thugonomics gimmick in a heartbeat.
Go on YouTube and watch his rap about Zach Gowen.
Okay.
Totally golden.
Nice. But I want to see the John Cena who was rap battling fans in the parking lot before a pay-per-view.
Yeah, that was awesome. I actually remember that.
And it's when he was getting into random rap battles with people, and he was just battle rapping people in the parking lot before the fucking show.
I went to the SmackDown television taping back in 2003.
Okay.
And John Cena fought Rhino, and he came out and he cut an awesome promo before the match. That's the John Cena that you're talking about that he should be. He's got he's like kind of got himself in there, but he's got a little bit of something else sprinkled in there.
Yeah, exactly. And now look, there are instances of people just being themselves and getting over. I mean, Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is basically right now just himself. He's got his yes gimmick, but it's tiny. That's mostly just him being himself. Dolph Ziggler was getting over mostly by just being himself with the volume turned way up and being cocky. But here, AJ Lee. No one in their right mind believes that AJ Lee is like this kind of half crazy whatever, because that's not who she is in real life. She's kind of a geeky gamer girl, which is kind of why I love her. But so you love it.
Yeah.
So nobody believes that that's who she is, but she's got that little character tweak, and look at her. She's basically the only diva right now that's worth paying any attention to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. A lot of these new wrestlers that we're seeing, you're right. It's just like a little bit of themselves,
right?
A little something spring. We need to see like the next Undertaker or the next Goldust, something that's out of the ordinary, thinking outside of the box.
You know what I really think, if they wouldn't have hammed it up to the degree that they did, maybe we'll close on this because we're getting a little around an hour and 15. We'll close on this. The Undertaker. Two things. A gimmick that I thought really could have gotten over if they wouldn't have gotten so hammy with it was the Boogeyman. I'm not even lying. I loved the fucking Boogeyman. I thought the Boogeyman was great.
I actually
stupid but great.
I actually agree with you because it got your attention. Like when you were watching it, you were like, "What the hell did he just do?
Who is this motherfucker that just came out from under the ring wearing antlers and eating worms? Who the hell is this guy?"
And I still think the creepiest thing that the Boogeyman ever did was rip that friggin' mole warty thing off of Jillian Hall's face.
Yes.
Remember he ate it off her face? I wanted to go puke in the toilet after seeing that.
It was so bad, but it was so good. And again, but they went and they got really hammy with it. Like he comes out and he's like, "I'm the Boogeyman and I want to see if I can join DX." Well, fuck's sakes.
No, what really put the nail in the coffin on that whole gimmick was when they brought out the little Boogeyman.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Why does WWE always got to bring some sort of midget into it?
I don't know. They love it. Vince has this weird midget fetish, I guess.
Ever since Bret Hart...
Mini Vader?
Okay.
Fuck.
Actually, that's going back even further. But I was going to say one of the biggest midget moments I remember is when Bret Hart left. He was gone.
Yes.
And DX did that promo where they had the Bret Hart midget come out.
Yeah.
And Shawn Michaels put him in the sharpshooter.
And Triple H was like, "Call for the bell." It was because after the Montreal screw job, right? So he's like, "Call for the bell, call for the bell." Yeah, I get. Then that was during a time in the industry where, now granted, the industry was hot, but it was basically just these guys just fucking jacking off on the company and everything like that. So, but just to kind of finish up the thought on the Undertaker, and then we'll get out of here on this. We've kind of we've made mention of this before, that I would be okay, and I'm interested to hear your opinion on this. I would be okay, when Mark Calloway, who plays the Undertaker, is done. He's just like, "Look, I can't get in the ring again. I'm so fucking beat up and everything like that. Like once he's at like Terry Funk level of beaten up and won't wrestle again.
The Undertaker retirement tour 35.
Forever. Good old Terry. I fucking love me some Terry Funk.
Oh my God.
But like once Undertaker's like, you know what? I'm done with his character. I would be totally okay with someone else, someone young and big and has a lot of years left in the industry, coming in and taking over that character. Taking over the character of The Undertaker.
That would be kind of interesting.
And have The Undertaker continue. I mean, obviously, we'd know.
Oh, so you mean that, like, to keep the streak
Yes.
on, keep going
yes.
kind of thing?
To keep, but like, if you bring in a young guy, I'm talking about like Undertaker could be on Raw again every week. You know what I mean? Like, and with, like, I feel like with this character, like with all the mysticism and magic and everything that's been in The Undertaker's character in the past, like, again, his greatest gimmick in the history of wrestling. It's probably the one gimmick that even the most jaded wrestling fans are just like, you know what? I'm still going to buy whatever The Undertaker does. He lights somebody on fire, hits somebody with lightning. I'm still going to buy it because it's The Undertaker.
Jesus, every time the gong hits, everybody starts screaming like a little girl, right?
Exactly. So, like, it's the most over persona that has ever been consistently over all these years. And I would be okay with someone else coming in and like they do this thing where like Mark Calloway's standing in the middle of the ring or something, like dressed as the Undertaker. The lights go out, there's lightning and there's all kinds of like, oh my God, shit is popping off. The ring explodes.
Just what I had in my mind.
And it's just it's going nuts. And then when the lights come back up, whoever it is like looking like it's down with the hat over the face, and he raises his face, and you can tell that it's a new face, but it's like it's the passing of the torch from Mark Calloway as the Undertaker to whoever else as the Undertaker, who continues the legacy of the Undertaker, like the Undertaker never dies and shit. I would be totally okay with them doing that.
I see what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
We needed a past Mark Calloway. We need that Undertaker type figure in the company. I totally understand what you're saying, and I can agree with you on that. Yeah.
I think internet fan backlash, I think, would be nuts.
Oh, definitely.
So they would have to take it and do something really, really good with it.
Yeah.
Right out of the gates. To be like, look, it's going to be okay. Look, like, this is what we're doing with it. Give it a chance, and it's going to be okay. And I think if Mark Calloway himself, too, was like, this is what we're doing with it. This is what I want. This is what I want them to do with this character, and it's going to be okay. Then I think it would kind of see, like, it could kind of be okay at that point.
I think the Undertaker's final act should totally be up to Mark Calloway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the WWE should have like no say in it all.
It's just like, what do you want to do?
He has given so much. He's given everything he possibly can to the WWE. Mm-hmm. He should be able to finish it the way he wants to.
Yeah, fair enough. Yep, I totally agree on that. And we've actually got a little bit of chatter about this in the chat stream.
So who do we got on there anyway?
In the chat stream, we have Rodney Broom.
What's up, Rodney?
And we have someone else who's, again, Ustreamer and just a random number. And they actually both kind of came to the consensus that the guy that they would want to see do it is Roman Reigns. To take over the character of the Undertaker.
Wow.
Could you see again, like there? Could you see the Undertaker like rocking the Superman punch that Roman Reigns does? I could kind of see that actually.
A couple weeks ago on Raw, do you remember when Roman Reigns, someone was their head was hanging out over the ring apron?
Yeah.
And he ran up and gave him that freaking drop kick,
sliding. Absolutely.
That kind of reminded me of like the Undertaker. Sing this.
Yeah.
It's like that leg drop he does over the ring apron. That was kind of like the next generation of it.
You know what? Vince, you're welcome. Take that
Yes.
fucking idea. That was a free one, but we all expect jobs in creative from that. That is where we're going to end the podcast for this week. Cody, thank you very much for taking the time to come on and chat with us.
This has been fun.
Absolutely. We're going to have you on again because talking wrestling with passionate fans is what this thing's all about.
I love what you guys do. This is awesome because I tune in as much as I can. Yeah. It's great to have people at our age be able to talk about it because a lot of my friends abandoned wrestling.
Yeah,
like they watch UFC now. Like, oh, wrestling, like it's so far unbelievable now. They just can't buy into it anymore.
Right.
But it's great to have this group of people where you can actually discuss it.
Yeah, and you appreciate. I think when you get to a certain point, you have there's a fork in the road. You have a decision you have to make. You have to decide whether you've just passed wrestling by, or you can appreciate wrestling as performance art. And I think we're at the point where we can appreciate wrestling as performance art, and that's why we support independent wrestling. And
we know that wrestling is a predetermined thing. The results are predetermined, but there's a talent that's needed to be able to pull it off, and it's, at the end of the day, it's entertainment.
Yep.
We go see movies. We go watch TV. Mm-hmm. It's scripted, but it's drama. It keeps us entertained. That's what wrestling is.
Suspension of disbelief. I completely 100% agree with you.
Exactly.
And that's some food for thought for our listeners until next week. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was episode number 20 of the Last Fan Standing podcast. I am Justin.
And I'm Nick.
And I am Cody.
Perfect. We will see you in a couple of weeks for episode 21. See you later, everybody.
Bye.